Hisashi Haruno watches a news report on his phone about a completely sold-out idol concert. The star of the show is the 15-year-old center of the group Blue Impulse, Kuramiya Rei. Hisashi reflects that at that time, he was completely unaware of her secret. In the classroom, he watches Kuramiya Rei, who sits at her desk, lost in thought. He had always admired her from afar, but he was about to discover the idol's true secret. A teacher addresses the new students at their high school. He announces he will be returning their academic assessment tests, cautioning them about the difficulty. He urges them to be careful not to stumble right from the beginning. Hisashi sits nervously, thinking about how hard it is to get a score of 90. He desperately needs a score higher than 90, fearing his mother's wrath. He recalls how his sister Akari, as expected, received full points on her test. A flashback shows his mother's disbelief upon seeing his score of 89. She angrily questioned his half-assed score and asked if he felt any shame for losing to his sister. She furiously pointed out that neither she, his father, nor his grandfather had ever gotten such a score. She accused him of lacking the self-awareness befitting the Haruno family. He remembers her threat to forbid him from setting foot on their property if he got a score like that in high school. The memory haunts him in the present as he prays, recalling how he studied relentlessly for this test. Kuramiya Rei gracefully accepts her test paper from the teacher. His classmates are in awe, remarking on her perfect score and calling her a cute genius. Hisashi listens as the students identify her as Kuramiya Rei, an idol with a perfect score. He reflects that she's not just some local idol, but a genuine one. She is known for being beautiful and achieving very high grades. She is considered a beautiful, intelligent, and wise once-in-a-generation genius. That is Kuramiya Rei. Honestly, Hisashi feels that he and Kuramiya live in different worlds. He laments that while she can balance her idol life and studies, he struggles with academics alone. Because of this, he is determined to at least match her academic achievements. The teacher calls for the next student, Haruno. Hisashi steps forward to receive his test paper. The teacher points out his failing grade and tells him he's in the after-school makeup class. A classmate reacts with shock and disdain. The entire class whispers about his failing grade, calling him an idiot while he stands there in shame. A crowd of reporters with cameras has gathered outside the school. His classmates realize the large crowd of interviewers is there for Kuramiya-san. One student asks what they are waiting for, having seen Kuramiya-san go straight home to practice. Hisashi is stunned, unable to believe he has to attend makeup classes for a simple mistake. He agonizes over what excuse he will give his mother. A voice from inside the classroom recites simple math equations. Hisashi peeks into the room, looking surprised. He wonders if this is the correct makeup classroom, as he hears someone struggling with the Pythagorean theorem. He recognizes the material as middle school level and finds the situation strange. He opens the door and announces his presence. Inside, he finds Kuramiya Rei, who is also reciting basic math formulas. The blackboard indicates that this is indeed the makeup class. Hisashi, shocked, asks Kuramiya-san why she is there. She looks away, silent for a moment. She defensively asks what's weird, claiming the teacher instructed her to come to this classroom. Hisashi suggests there might have been a mistake with the booking, and she nervously agrees. He observes that she is sweating an unusual amount. He then asks her about the formulas she was reciting. She claims they were lyrics for her next live performance, but Hisashi sees through the lie. A thought occurs to Hisashi. He apologizes for his rudeness, but feels he must ask her something. He directly asks if she actually struggles with studying, leaving her stunned. He realizes he's taking makeup classes with her. He sits down near the genius idol, Kuramiya-san, and thinks to himself that she is really beautiful. Kuramiya blushes and insists that she is not an idiot. Hisashi seems doubtful. He holds up her test, showing a score of 16, and says that her score suggests otherwise. She claims it was a small mistake, while he remembers she received it with confidence earlier. Hisashi admits to himself that he feels a little bit relieved. He realizes that perhaps the expectations were too high, and she was just a normal girl. Kuramiya looks at the time, saying she has a lesson at 6 and needs to hurry. Seeing his chance, Hisashi kindly offers to teach her. Kuramiya is confused by his offer, reminding him that he's also taking the makeup class. Hisashi presents his test, which has a score of 4. He approaches her desk to explain. He points out that her answers seem to be misplaced. He explains that due to this error, he got everything wrong from the fifth question, but would have otherwise scored a 94. Kuramiya can't believe such a mistake is real, but he insists it's the truth. He tells her that he can definitely help her with this. Kuramiya looks down, contemplating his offer. She thanks him but says it's her problem to solve. She clarifies that it's not just her problem as a student, but also as an idol. With determination, she says that it's no good and she has to change. Hisashi immediately backpedals, telling her to forget he said anything. He wonders what he was even thinking. He scolds himself for getting carried away, believing he has no right to interfere with her chosen path. But as he watches her struggle with a simple equation, he worries if she'll be okay. The story explains that they attend an ultra-elite private high school. The school has an escalator system to its affiliated university, but the exams and classes are extremely difficult, including the makeup classes. An hour later, Hisashi stretches, finished with his work. He found the work quite difficult but is finally done. He discreetly peeks over to check on Kuramiya-san's progress. He sees that she is still struggling with the same simple math problem. She looks completely stuck. Hisashi is bewildered, wondering how she managed to get into their school. Hisashi leans over and insists that he will teach her today. He points out that at this rate, she'll be late for her lesson at 6. She apologizes but says that won't solve the problem. Kuramiya explains that at this rate, she will have to retire from being an idol. She tells a shocked Hisashi that her mom allowed her to be an idol only if she could balance it with her studies. She had promised to quit if her grades dropped even slightly. She admits she was seriously scolded the other day, and Hisashi empathizes, saying his mom is scary too. She confesses that she feels she is lying to her fans. She believes she can't continue being an idol in this half-assed state, as idols should be admired by everyone. She concludes that if she doesn't solve this on her own, it's meaningless. Hisashi looks at her with concern and apologizes. Tears fall as Kuramiya admits she doesn't feel fit to be an idol. Hisashi watches her, his expression filled with empathy. Her tears fall onto her paper as she sobs. Hisashi makes a decision and begins erasing his own answers. He gets her attention. Holding up his erased answer sheet, he asks if she would like to solve the problem together. She is surprised, noting that she's the one taking a long time. She asks why he would do that. He leans in and explains that two people working together will be much faster. He tells her to think of herself not as an idol, but just as the girl, Kuramiya. She looks at him, her expression softening. He suggests they finish their work before her lesson. She agrees and he smiles, saying he's got it. The two of them begin their study session. Hisashi points to the paper and explains the concepts. Kuramiya listens intently, deep in thought. He claps encouragingly. Suddenly, she has a moment of realization. He gives her a thumbs up. They study side by side as the afternoon light fills the classroom. As they leave, Kuramiya admits she got too comfortable and relied on him to teach her. Hisashi tells her it's nothing to worry about and to ask him if she needs anything else. They walk out of the school building together. They are immediately met by a huge crowd of reporters and flashing cameras. Hisashi is impressed, thinking this is what's expected of a popular idol. Kuramiya turns to him. She asks if she can ask for one more thing. She admits she doesn't want to stay like this and wants to earn the title of genius without shame. She shyly asks if he would be willing to study with her from now on. Hisashi is completely taken aback by her request. As the cameras flash, Hisashi stammers that of course it's okay with him. He sweats nervously, thinking it's bad to be seen alone with her in front of the media, and suggests they get along as classmates and friends. She quietly considers his words. She turns to face the press, leaving him behind. She glances back with a smile and says, "Tomorrow." Hisashi stammers out a yes in response. He reflects on how this is just what you'd expect from an idol. And so their secret makeup class life began. Later, Hisashi faces his furious mother, who holds up his test with the failing grade and demands to know what it is. She demands an explanation from a terrified Hisashi. The narration notes that from this point on, he will come to know a new reality. A voice on the phone asks if she ended up being taught by someone else. The friend finds it unusual for her to rely on others and asks if he was handsome. While in the bath, Kuramiya denies that it was like that. Her friend presses, asking how she got swayed, but Kuramiya insists it wasn't like that. Blushing, Kuramiya admits to her friend that she thinks he was a nice person. Her friend is excited, saying it's great and that she might look forward to school for the first time in a while. The friend then asks for his name. Kuramiya realizes with a start that she forgot his name, a habit her friend calls her out on. In the bustling hallway of Classroom 11, admirers discuss Rei Kuramiya's recent live show. Hisashi Haruno watches from the doorway. Known as a genius idol, Rei Kuramiya graciously thanks her fans for their compliments. Haruno reflects on Kuramiya's incredible popularity as a member of the group Blue Impulse and her surprising top-level academic performance. He had thought she was a truly perfect human, but ironically he ended up being the one to teach her. Overwhelmed by the situation, Haruno feels there are too many things to point out. He finds the situation so incomprehensible that he wonders if it's all a dream. He points out to Kuramiya that their next class is in a different classroom, to which she agrees. As she's about to leave, she calls out to him. Kuramiya leans in close and whispers for Haruno to see her after school. As she leaves with her friends, Haruno agrees to come. A blushing Haruno is left behind at his desk. He realizes with certainty that this was not a dream. He waits alone in the classroom for their makeup class. Haruno is overcome with nervousness and sighs. He questions his ability to be an effective teacher, feeling anxious about the situation. He wonders why he has to teach a genius idol. Kuramiya arrives, struggling to understand the right-hand rule for physics. As they greet each other, Haruno realizes he has discovered the secret that Kuramiya is not a genius after all. Haruno explains that due to her busy schedule, Kuramiya has fallen behind and another failing grade means she'll have to quit being an idol. However, he points out that today's assignment is Japanese history, not the physics she was studying. He was chosen to help her, amazed by the gap between her image and reality. To Haruno's shock, Kuramiya asks who he is. He's stunned and asks what she means. She quickly clarifies that she simply hadn't heard his name yet. Relieved, Haruno introduces himself as Haruno Hisashi. Kuramiya admits she freaked out, thinking he had been forgotten. She asks if he was seen by anyone before she arrived. He confirms that no one saw him. With introductions out of the way, they agree to start studying. As they sit studying in the quiet classroom, the only sound is the ticking clock. Haruno finds he can't help but be conscious of her presence next to him. Haruno's mind races, realizing he's sitting right in front of an idol. To make matters worse, they are alone together and he notices her pleasant smell. He scolds himself, trying to focus on studying. Admiring how beautiful Kuramiya is even with a troubled expression, Haruno asks if she has a problem. She points to a specialized question about the Emperor of Japan when Buddhist scriptures were introduced. She admits she's not good with questions that require a lot of memorization. Kuramiya confesses that she is generally not good at remembering people's names. Haruno thinks this must be a fatal flaw for a celebrity, and she confirms her manager often scolds her for it. He asks why she doesn't try to remember them by using context. Haruno suggests that knowing the era and context makes it considerably easier to remember, sketching a small cartoon to illustrate his point. Kuramiya seems to understand his method. He suggests they focus on creating associations to remember at least one thing for now. He explains that understanding the relationships between key points is helpful for long-term memory. He fluently provides a simple overview of the historical problem. Kuramiya struggles to recall the names from the lesson. Haruno patiently encourages her not to rush. He also recommends that she depend on visuals to help her remember. Kuramiya tells him that he's really good at teaching. She thanks him profusely, excited that she can finally remember. She exclaims that his explanation was amazing and easy to understand. Kuramiya thanks him again, saying his help means a lot but calls him Fujita-kun. He hesitantly corrects her, stating his name is actually Haruno. He realizes she truly is bad at remembering names. 30 minutes pass as they continue their study session. After some time, Haruno approaches Kuramiya to see how she's doing. He asks what she has been studying and is shocked by what he sees. He discovers that she has spent the time filling an entire page by repeatedly writing his name, Haruno-kun. He confusedly asks why his name is written so many times. Kuramiya explains she did it because she couldn't remember his name. Exasperated, Haruno tells her to prioritize the great historical figures over him. He calls it a waste of time, but also admits that he's happy about it. He worries that he's the one occupying her memory, preventing her from remembering others. Haruno notices that among the repetitions of his name, Kuramiya has written her impressions of him: good at drawing, good at teaching, and kind. He is touched, wondering if this is how she sees him, and feels plainly happy. He realizes she is trying to put his advice into practice in her own unique way. Haruno concludes that while Kuramiya is definitely motivated, the direction of her efforts is a little strange. Clenching his fists, he feels a strong desire to support her. He decides not to be too meddlesome. He simply repeats his earlier advice to write and read things a lot in order to remember them. Kuramiya remembers his advice to depend on visuals. She begins repeating his name to commit it to memory. Haruno, confused, asks why she is calling his name repeatedly. She gets progressively closer to his face, pulling him in. A flustered Haruno tells her she is getting too close. Leaning just inches from his face, Kuramiya smiles and says that now she remembers his name. Haruno is left stunned and flustered by their proximity. After that encounter, Kuramiya worked hard to remember the names of the others as well. Kuramiya recites a line from the song she is practicing. Haruno is shocked by how close she is. She continues with another line that sounds like a confession of love. A flustered Haruno remembers that his only goal was to teach her English. Kuramiya turns to him and asks how she did. Haruno is left wondering how things ended up this way. 30 minutes prior, Haruno and Kuramiya were discussing the lesson. She showed him the sheet music for a song she needed to sing in class tomorrow. Haruno confirmed that she needed help with the English pronunciation. He wondered how she, as an idol who often sings in English, managed. She admitted that she uses cue cards written on her hand during performances. Kuramiya apologized for asking for help with something unrelated to their supplementary lessons. Haruno tells her it is okay and offers to help with anything she is struggling with. She thanks him for his help. They begin the lesson in the third supplementary classroom. Kuramiya attempts to read the lyrics but mispronounces the words. She struggles to pronounce the word Europe. Haruno corrects her, explaining the proper pronunciation. Overwhelmed, Kuramiya collapses onto her desk, feeling she can't understand it because she is Japanese. Kuramiya sighs, admitting that it is very difficult. Haruno suggests they work on fixing her accent and vowel pronunciation next. He notices her daydreaming and tells her not to lose hope. She was wondering if she should just catch a cold to miss the class. Haruno suggests they start by being careful with the pronunciation of L and R. Kuramiya listens intently. He explains that not distinguishing between them can lead to strange meanings, using rice and lice as an example. He gives her specific instructions on how to form the sounds with her tongue. He then asks her to pay attention to his mouth and watch him. Haruno is confused by her request. She asks him to pay close attention to her mouth to see if she is doing it accurately. She begins to practice the lines from the song. She sings the final line with feeling. After finishing, she asks him how she did. Haruno is internally flustered, thinking her tongue is small and her pronunciation seems fine. His mind wanders to how flawless her teeth are, unlike what he sees on television. Kuramiya leans in very close to him, asking if he is listening properly. She tells him again to pay attention to her mouth, while Haruno panics about her strange sense of personal space. She recites a romantic line very close to his face. She pulls back and asks how she did. A flustered Haruno jumps away, telling her it was really good and they should move on. Kuramiya is relieved to hear his feedback. She asks if they should continue reading from where they left off. Haruno, however, feels he needs a break from the intensity. The following day, Kuramiya is called forward to sing in the music classroom. Haruno worries that while her pronunciation is better, she lacked time to practice the actual singing. He watches with great concern. He feels that if she fails, it will be his fault. As Kuramiya begins to sing, her voice fills the classroom. Haruno is stunned by her performance. The rest of the class is equally captivated. He realizes that Kuramiya is a truly amazing person. The teacher is speechless, calling her voice clear and beautiful. She is moved to tears by the performance. Haruno is incredibly relieved that she succeeded. The teacher suggests she sing next week's song as well. The class erupts in cheers, demanding an encore. Kuramiya looks flustered by the unexpected request. Haruno realizes with horror that she has not practiced the next song. The teacher tells Kuramiya she may begin. Kuramiya looks at Haruno, silently begging for help. The teacher asks if something is wrong. Haruno quickly raises his hand and calls out to the teacher. Haruno suggests that since she is an idol, it would be better not to strain her voice too much. The teacher agrees with his reasoning and decides to save the song for next week, much to Kuramiya's relief. Haruno breathes a sigh of relief himself. The other students in the class are irritated, thinking Haruno was just trying to appeal to Kuramiya. Haruno is stressed by their reactions. He feels that he is now seen as someone who cannot read the room. As he walks away dejectedly, Kuramiya calls out to him. She approaches him and thanks him for his help earlier. Haruno starts to apologize for butting in, but she tells him it was not a problem at all. She tells him he was cool. Haruno is surprised by her compliment. Kuramiya smiles and thanks him again with a line from the song, asking if her pronunciation has improved. Haruno is left blushing and flustered. He tells her that next time, they should study the meaning of the sentences. Hisashi Haruno walks toward classroom 11. He anxiously clutches his bag, wondering if Rei Kuramiya will be all right. Meanwhile, Kuramiya is surrounded by classmates, confidently helping them prepare for a test. Other students praise Kuramiya's patience, but Haruno thinks they are misunderstanding the situation. Watching the genius idol navigate her school day makes him nervous. Sitting at his desk, Haruno sighs with longing, wishing he could go out with her. He imagines them meeting up in an empty classroom after school. In his fantasy, Kuramiya playfully chides him for being 3 minutes late. He envisions them sitting face to face, studying together. He imagines them having fun chatting and flirting during their study session. A classmate listening in agrees that it sounds like an ideal situation. Haruno is snapped out of his daydream, startled by a sudden thought. He overhears his classmates discussing how Kuramiya would never risk causing online rumors. The mention of online rumors brings a wave of anxiety over Haruno. His classmates conclude that, as a genius, she would be too intelligent to get into such trouble. The idea of her being intelligent fills Haruno with a sense of dread. He suddenly becomes nervous, concerned that Kuramiya is not considering the risks. He feels that he must be the responsible one in their arrangement. In the empty classroom, he calls out for Kuramiya. Kuramiya directly addresses the issue of online rumors, asking if he wants that to happen. Haruno looks flustered and confused by her directness. She asks what happened, and he evasively replies that it's nothing. He silently agrees with her, acknowledging that their relationship could be misunderstood. Kuramiya begins their study session by explaining the 4 types of nucleotides. Haruno correctly remembers the term DNA polymerase. She smiles, pleased that he remembered it well. He then confidently gives a wrong answer, believing he's close to escaping supplementary lessons. She playfully calls him out on his mistake. Kuramiya asks Haruno why he is sitting so far away from her. He explains that he is trying to prevent them from getting into trouble. She asks if his trouble is specifically because she is near him. Haruno realizes she has misunderstood his meaning. Kuramiya tries to show Haruno a picture of her dog on her phone. Haruno is startled by her sudden approach. He quickly tries to move away as she calls for him to wait. As he continues to flay, she urges him to listen. Her expression becomes serious and determined. She quickly closes the distance and traps him against the wall. Trapping him against the wall, Kuramiya demands to know why he is running away. Haruno is left speechless, cornered by her. Haruno panics, thinking that she is too close and the situation is dangerous. Kuramiya asks him to explain what he finds so dangerous. He cries out that if rumors about her spread because of him, he won't be able to live anymore. Kuramiya chuckles, finally understanding that he has been avoiding her because of his fear of rumors. Haruno tries to tell her that she does not need to worry about it. Kuramiya tells him that she is always cautious about these things. She playfully pokes him in the head, calling him out for making strong assumptions. Overcome with shame, Haruno apologizes for his embarrassing behavior. She explains that his fear of online rumors is not a reason for him to move away. Kuramiya smiles warmly, telling Haruno that he is a really nice person. She thanks him for worrying about her, causing him to blush. She reassures him that she has not heard any weird rumors and their secret is safe. Haruno concludes that his worrying is groundless. He resolves to stop, but seems to have a lingering thought. Kuramiya tells him that she does not hate that part about him. Her words cause Haruno to tremble. With his heart pounding, Haruno thinks her words sound like a proposal. He rationalizes that as a professional idol, Kuramiya must have thought about crisis management. Despite this, he believes there is still a reason for him to worry about her. He swears on the name Hisashi Haruno that he will not let her become a victim of rumors. Kuramiya interrupts his intense internal monologue. Kuramiya asks Haruno if the two of them could meet this weekend. Haruno is left completely stunned by her question. The chapter begins with Rei Kuramiya accidentally bumping into Hisashi Haruno in a narrow hallway. Their hearts pound from the sudden closeness. Startled, Hisashi jumps back and apologizes, with a blushing Rei quickly doing the same. Later, in a karaoke room, an awkward silence hangs between Hisashi and Rei. She breaks the tension by asking if he's going to sing. When he agrees, she suggests they pick a song to perform together. She moves closer to look at the songbook, making Hisashi flustered. As they search for a song, Hisashi is completely distracted by how nice Rei smells. She points out her own new song, Promise, but immediately becomes embarrassed by the suggestion. Confused by her reaction, Hisashi asks why she is so hesitant. Rei quickly changes the subject and picks a different song, one Hisashi recognizes from their music class. Despite his feeling that she's pushing things a bit, she selects it. The music begins to play. While they sing, Hisashi reflects on why he's helping Rei with her studies. He remembers offering to help her without thinking about any personal gain. As he watches her sing, he wonders if his desire to help stems from the fact that she's an idol. Rei is suddenly flustered when she realizes she can't read the lyrics for the song's second verse. They decide to skip it and go back to studying. Hisashi is happy they got to sing together, though Rei admits the situation is still a bit awkward. As they study, Hisashi mentions that he's been having fun lately. Rei expresses her gratitude and says she wants to repay him. She feels that she doesn't deserve to be with him if she's the only one benefiting from their time together. Rei explains her reasoning, stating that idols are supposed to give inspiration to people. Hearing her words, Hisashi seems to finally understand her perspective. Hisashi tells Rei he dislikes her talk of benefits because he has gained something too. He confesses that he finds her determination to pursue her goals despite her busy work schedule to be incredibly inspiring. He admits that he truly loves that part of her. Looking at her with a sincere, blushing expression, Hisashi confesses that he wants to be with her simply because he admires her. The weight of his own words seems to hit him, leaving him stunned and speechless. Immediately flustered, Hisashi tries to downplay his confession, insisting she shouldn't take it seriously. Rei, however, reflects on how other students approach her because she's an idol. She realizes that Hisashi is different from them. Looking directly at Hisashi, Rei reciprocates his feelings, admitting that she also wants to be with him. Hisashi is completely shocked by her confession. He says he's fine with just her words. As they leave the karaoke bar, Rei insists on giving him something in return. Rei offers to sing her song for him. Surprised but pleased, Hisashi asks if that's okay. She admits that it's embarrassing since she's never performed it for someone in private. But she firmly states that she wants him to listen. Later that night, Rei is at home when she gets a message from someone named Sora asking about the karaoke date. Sora presses her about being alone with a guy. Rei deflects, saying it was nothing like that. Sora finds Rei's vague response cute. She texts back that it's good Rei found a friend she can be herself with before playfully asking for all the details about what happened. Blushing as she reads the messages, Rei simply replies that it's a secret. Sora responds with playful frustration, insisting that Rei tell her everything the next time they meet. The chapter opens by introducing Rei Kuramiya. She is a rapidly rising star in the idol group Blue Impulse, renowned for her overwhelming talent. While in her room, she looks at a text from Hisashi Haruno thanking her for their time together. He quickly follows up, insisting that he is the one who should be grateful. However, despite her successful public persona as a genius idol, Rei harbors a secret that she cannot share with anyone. Rei cringes as she remembers her embarrassing confession to Hisashi that she also wanted to be with him. Shaking it off, she resolves to get up and review her lessons for the day. Meanwhile, as Hisashi walks home, he finds himself thinking about how stylish Rei looked. When Hisashi arrives home, he announces his return. His younger sister, Akari, greets him. She immediately asks how his date went. A flustered Hisashi vehemently denies it was a date. He exclaims that the very idea of someone like him being with Rei is absurd and that his own reaction is disgusting. Akari asks if he is happy that she chose the clothes for him. Hisashi thanks his sister for helping him with his sudden request. She reveals she chose his outfit because his own clothes were too lame. He gratefully acknowledges that she saved him from embarrassment and she reminds him that he owes her one. Akari then suggests he buy new pajamas just in case anything happens. Though he tries to brush it off as unnecessary, he seems to consider it. Hisashi stops his homework. He discreetly searches online for stylish men's pajamas. Just then, he receives a text from Rei. She explains that she is struggling with a lesson she practiced. She asks if they can discuss it over a call. The request sends the introverted Hisashi, who has never made a phone call before, into a complete panic. He spirals into overthinking, trying to figure out the correct way to respond. His heart pounds as he feels the pressure of needing to reply quickly. Realizing he cannot keep her waiting, he resolves to make the call. However, he is then stumped by the simple task of finding the right button on his phone. In his frantic state, he chooses a button. He accidentally presses the video call button. He panics over his mistake, but before he can do anything, Rei accepts the call. She calmly greets him. On screen, Rei, dressed in her pajamas, admits she was not expecting a video call. Hisashi, on the other end, is completely frozen in shock. His mind races with the realization that she is in her pajamas. Noticing his strange silence, Rei looks at him with concern. Hisashi tries to calm himself down, observing that she is still the same person he knows from school. Suddenly feeling self-conscious, Hisashi thinks his own pajamas look ridiculous compared to his stylish school clothes. He mentally curses his past self. He regrets never having taken an interest in his own appearance. He had always been foolishly content with whatever his mother bought for him. He remembers his sister's judgmental expression, which only makes him feel worse. Mortified, Hisashi desperately wishes he could change his clothes. Rei's voice brings him back to reality as she points out how red his face is and asks what he needs help with. He quickly deflects, steering the conversation to the math problems. As they work through the problems, Hisashi explains a concept to Rei. She confirms that she understands. He then questions why she brought up a simple rule about multiplying negative numbers. She explains it is a metaphor for their relationship. They both had a negative start by having to take supplementary lessons after being scolded by their parents, but it led to a positive outcome. She continues, saying that because of that negative start, she met him, and now they have become friends who can study and talk like this, which makes her very happy. Hisashi is flustered and speechless. She playfully clarifies she is just talking about mathematical calculations, though her expression suggests otherwise. Noticing it is past 1 in the morning, Rei decides it's late. She tells Hisashi that she should head to bed now. They say their goodbyes, promising to see each other at school. As soon as the call ends, Rei collapses onto her pillow. Just as the call disconnects, Rei softly wishes him a good night. The simple phrase leaves Hisashi stunned, feeling as if he has heard something deeply private and intimate. Her words echo in his mind as he lies in bed. Unable to sleep, Hisashi lies awake all night, replaying every interaction he has had with Rei. His sister's suggestion to go shopping this weekend echoes in his head. The next morning arrives and he has not slept a wink. In May, with only 2 weeks left until the next exam, Hisashi Haruno is consumed by worry. He feels the pressure to study more, especially since Rei Kuramiya's grades are improving despite her busy job. He mutters to himself about needing to be able to support himself. His classmates overhear his muttering, finding his behavior scary. While Hisashi intensely studies Japanese history, he is determined to push himself harder. Suddenly, a girl interrupts him by placing a cold drink on his head and telling him to take it easy. The girl, Mao, surprises Hisashi by showing up. She invites him to an amusement park with her class, but he questions why she'd think he would come, since they aren't even classmates. She cheerfully suggests they have fun like they used to. She reminds him that making friends is as important as studying now that tests are over. Hisashi, however, declines her offer. Mao cheekily tells him it's none of his business why she is there, but offers to help him make friends. Hisashi identifies her as Suzuki Mao, his childhood friend. He recalls that she was always very sociable and the center of attention in their class. Before he knew it, she had become a Jaru. Hisashi snaps back, insisting he has friends. He then points out that her appearance violates school rules. Mao playfully dismisses his comment, calling it sexual harassment. Feeling he lacked delicacy, Hisashi becomes depressed and apologizes. She then calls out his name, Hisashi. Mao offers to tell the teacher he's leaving so he can skip his supplementary lesson. Hisashi declines, insisting it's fine. She adds that she knows he's smart enough that missing one class won't matter. He replies that he isn't as smart as she thinks. Still in the classroom, Hisashi and Mao sit together. He asks why she hasn't left for the amusement park, and she explains that her friends suddenly cancelled. He then asks about her home economics club, and she tells him it was also cancelled for the day. Since she's free, she asks him to teach her, but he admits he isn't in the mood. Mao remarks that they're always stuck together because they're neighbors. She passes on an invitation from her mom for him to come over for dinner. Hearing he got a new phone, she suggests they exchange contact information. She asks if he uses Instagram. He bluntly says no. Mao then asks about Snapchat, but Hisashi has no idea what that is. Startled, both Mao and Hisashi turn to look as the door opens. Rei Kuramiya enters the classroom. Rei walks past them and sits down at a nearby desk. Rei announces they will study Japanese history, Hisashi's weak subject. She starts with a periodization challenge. Hisashi struggles, first naming dinosaur eras. He then guesses art periods and stages of psychosexual development, all of which Rei calmly corrects as incorrect. Mao is bewildered by the atmosphere. She wonders why the genius idol is there and what her connection to Hisashi is. After Mao introduces herself as his childhood friend, Hisashi awkwardly whispers with her. He explains that Rei is helping him with his studies. A flashback reveals a conversation from a few days prior where they decided on a plan. Worried about being seen together, Rei proposed that they reverse their roles. Publicly, she would be the teacher and he would be the student. Despite his lack of acting experience, Hisashi agreed it was a good plan. Back in the present, Rei encourages Hisashi to just mimic her as part of their act. She quizzes him, but he gives a wrong answer. He continues to guess incorrectly, becoming flustered. He wonders to himself if he's performing correctly. Suddenly, a phone beeps. Rei glances at her phone, revealing a message from Hisashi asking if she thinks he looks that stupid. A small, knowing smile plays on her lips as she reads it. Hisashi apologizes for his poor performance. Mao, however, grows suspicious. She asks if they are hiding something. She reveals that she knows his right hand trembles when he feels guilty. Hisashi is shocked that she knows his secret habit. Mao states confidently that Hisashi isn't that dumb. She concludes that his earlier struggles must have been an act and asks what they are hiding. Hisashi is shocked by her deduction. He realizes with dread that their secret is about to be exposed. Hisashi panics internally, realizing that Rei's secret is about to be exposed. He worries that all her hard work will be for nothing and tries to deflect, telling his childhood friend that he's actually bad at studying. Mao tells Hisashi she doesn't like seeing him act so self-deprecating. She scolds him for judging himself so one-sidedly and humbling himself. A flustered Hisashi apologizes. Mao then gently pokes his cheek, admitting that seeing him act like that upsets her a little. Mao playfully pulls on Hisashi's cheek, telling him to forget what she said earlier. Rei steps in to defend him, assuring Mao that Hisashi didn't mean to trick or trouble her. With a knowing smile, Rei adds that everyone has their own circumstances they wouldn't want pried into. Rei looks directly at Mao and confesses that Haruno is actually the one helping her with her studies. Rei explains that she is terrible at studying and needs supplementary lessons, which Haruno agreed to help her with. She then admits that her public persona as a genius idol is a lie. The admission leaves both Hisashi and Mao speechless and stunned. Mao expresses her disbelief at the sudden confession. Hisashi gives a slight nod to confirm that what Rei said is true. Mao accepts the reality of the situation. She enthusiastically declares that she will help them. Mao brightly offers to help them study too. Her offer comes as a surprise to Rei and Hisashi. She promises to come and help whenever she doesn't have club or a part-time job. However, Rei politely declines, insisting that this is her own problem to deal with. Hisashi speaks up, vouching for Mao, telling Rei she is an honest person who can keep a secret. He says that he thinks it is okay to trust her. After a moment of consideration, Rei relents. She shyly asks Mao for her help. Mao beams and happily agrees. Hisashi whispers to her that on second thought, they might have been fine without her, but he also thinks she is cute. Mao expresses her gladness. Rei watches them, thinking to herself that Hisashi has finally figured out what he wants to do. Mao enthusiastically grabs Rei's hands, saying that even though she knows Rei is busy, they should hang out together sometime. Rei warmly agrees. Hisashi interrupts, reminding them that midterms are less than a month away and questions if Mao will be okay. Mao seems unconcerned, pointing out that the test was 3 days ago, which implies Rei didn't study at all. Hisashi explains that Rei studies during work breaks, so she should find the next test easy, while Mao asks what they are currently doing. Rei winks and makes a cryptic historical reference, which Hisashi thinks is slightly off. Hisashi is overcome with emotion, crying as he tells Mao how much Rei has improved. He explains that her recent correct answer is a huge improvement and tells Mao she should learn from her. Mao smugly declares herself a last-minute studying expert. She boasts about her excellent memory. To prove her point, Mao claims she can recite 100 digits of pi. She adds that she passed her entrance exams with only a month of studying. Hisashi points out that she had promised not to do that anymore. Rei apologizes for leaving Mao out of their conversation. Mao reassures her it is fine, observing that the two of them are good friends. Mao suddenly exclaims that she forgot something she had to do. She quickly says her goodbyes. She rushes out of the classroom. Hisashi and Rei are left behind as she departs as abruptly as she arrived. Hisashi apologizes for the ruckus, explaining to Rei that Mao is like family to him, which is why he tends to be less guarded when speaking around her. Rei says she understands, then shyly asks if he could talk to her in the same familiar way. Hisashi is completely flustered by her request, declaring it impossible. He feels she is just too amazing for him to speak to so casually. Rei insists that he should drop the honorifics, but he suggests they focus on studying instead. He pleads with her to have mercy and drop the subject. Hisashi begs Rei to wait at least 5 more years, but she playfully retorts that 5 years is too long. Unseen by them, Mao watches their interaction from the hallway. She watches them for a moment before turning and walking away. As Mao walks home alone, she sighs and wonders what she was doing and why she acted the way she did. Back in the classroom, Rei smiles to herself, realizing that what she's feeling is like love. With midterms less than 2 weeks away, Rei Kuramiya is focused on her phone. Hisashi looks over, surprised by her focus. He asks what she's looking at, suggesting they should be studying for their tests. Rei explains that Mao gave her a memorization app for studying. Rei shows him the memorization app on her phone. Hisashi gasps, shocked to learn about such a convenient study method. Rei adds that Mao even taught her how to input the words. This new development leaves Hisashi feeling dejected, as he believes his role in helping her memorize is no longer needed. Just as he's feeling down, Rei gets his attention, asking for help with a problem she doesn't understand. His spirits lift instantly as he eagerly asks what it is. She shows him a problem that can be solved with a formula. She explains she doesn't grasp the underlying logic, and Hisashi glances at the problem. However, upon seeing the question, Hisashi freezes. Sweating nervously, Hisashi tries to deflect by suggesting they study Japanese instead. Rei asks if he's sure, suggesting they could revise the test range again. Rei agrees but presses him on whether he understands the logic of the science problem first. Overwhelmed, Hisashi admits that he doesn't understand it either. When Rei asks why he pretended to know, he begins to explain. Hisashi becomes frantic, declaring himself unworthy if he can't even understand this. He confesses that he has only ever memorized formulas without thinking about the logic behind them. He reasons that the sensei must be in the laboratory. Determined, he decides to go ask the teacher himself. As he turns to leave, Rei grabs his wrist, telling him to wait. Holding his arm, Rei asks why he is going by himself and insists on going with him. She gently reassures him that it is not true that he is unworthy. Hisashi is left blushing and at a loss for words. Hisashi becomes flustered as he realizes Rei is still holding his hand. She quickly lets go, apologizing. He then recalls her initial request and asks if she would like to solve the problem together. Rei is visibly moved by his offer. They then head off to find the teacher. As they walk through the school, other students greet Rei warmly. Watching her, Hisashi's confidence plummets. He internally scolds himself for getting ahead of himself, thinking he could teach her anything beyond simple memorization. He feels ashamed for his earlier failure. Lost in self-criticism, Hisashi feels he has been far too cocky lately. He feels unworthy being next to someone so amazing. He is pulled from his thoughts when Rei, who has been searching for the right room, calls out his name. They find a teacher who identifies the problem they have a question about. The teacher begins by asking them to explain what earthquakes are. He clarifies that earthquakes spread three-dimensionally, which is why 3 points are needed to locate an epicenter. He adds that the Pythagorean theorem can be used to find the depth of the hypercenter. This revelation excites Rei. Hisashi realizes the teacher's method of guiding their thinking is far more effective than just providing answers. He starts to worry that his own teaching style was actually hindering Rei's progress. The teacher then remarks with a smile that this is the first time a student has ever come to ask about the logic behind that specific problem. Hisashi wonders if their question was too basic. The teacher corrects him, saying it is the opposite. He explains that only a student who has studied diligently would have such a profound question. The teacher then asks for their names, and they introduce themselves as Rei Kuramiya and Hisashi Haruno. The teacher praises them both for their hard work. Rei seems glad and gives all the credit to Hisashi, stating that thanks to him, she did not become a hindrance. Hisashi is taken aback by her words. She turns to him with a heartfelt declaration. With a grateful and admiring expression, Rei tells Hisashi that to her, he is the world's best sensei. Hisashi is left speechless by her compliment. He thinks to himself that he really cannot understand her, but feels grateful and newly motivated not to be outdone. Rei gives a small, confident smile. The teacher, observing them, smiles and expresses his confidence that they will both pass the exams. A few days before the midterm exams, the stakes are high. The tests will determine if Rei can continue her idol career, and for Hisashi, his potential disownment hangs in the balance. As he leaves for a lesson, Rei watches him go, contemplating the end of their after-school study sessions. Hisashi Haruno sits anxiously at his desk, the pressure of the moment clear on his face. The classroom is silent except for the ticking of the clock, building tension as the students wait for the exam to begin. As the signal is given to start, Rei Kuramiya begins writing with a look of intense focus. For her, the performance has just begun. After the first test, students discuss the exam in the hallway. A friend asks Hisashi if he numbered his answers correctly, to which he replies that he thinks he did. Another student encourages them to forget about it and prepare for the next subject. Meanwhile, Hisashi seems to be quizzing someone else on specific grammar points. In the hallway, Rei looks over her notes, thinking she wants her friend to pass. Hisashi, meanwhile, is overwhelmed, but tells himself he must first concentrate on his own performance. The next test is about to begin. As the second exam starts, the teacher instructs everyone to put their pens down. Rei finds herself struggling, unable to focus on the questions in front of her. The pressure of the exam makes Rei's body feel hot. She finds this far more difficult than any live performance and tries her usual coping mechanism. She tries to imagine everyone as kind-hearted potatoes, but she realizes it does not work in a silent classroom, leaving her feeling lost. Rei's mind races with anxious thoughts, questioning her answers and wondering if she could have studied more. She worries about her work schedule and the consequences of failure. A friend notices her trembling and looking worse than usual. She wishes Hisashi were there to help, as he always is in times like these. Hisashi is in a full-blown panic, muttering about complex physics concepts. The friend feels helpless, but then she gets an idea. She directs Rei's attention to Hisashi. The friend reassures a concerned Rei that this is just Hisashi's normal pretest state, even though he appears to be foaming at the mouth. She explains that seeing someone more nervous can have a calming effect. The strategy works and Rei lets out a small laugh, her tension easing. Rei has a revelation, realizing that tests are much like live performances where you just have to do your best. Her friend remarks on Hisashi's constant, unnecessary worrying. Rei understands that the key is to stop worrying about things that do not need to be worried about. The friend reflects on Hisashi's character, noting that even though he is a helpless worrier, it is amazing how he still thinks of others. At that moment, Hisashi, still looking stressed, offers glucose candy to both of them. Rei and her friend gratefully accept the candy. Rei remarks that sugar is crucial for a test. As they enjoy the sweet treat, the teacher instructs the class to return to their seats. Despite her newfound calm, a wave of doubt washes over Rei. She has to remind herself to focus. She glances over at Hisashi. Looking at Hisashi's face, a sense of peace settles over Rei. She realizes that if she had just looked at him from the start, she could have relaxed all along. Now it is Hisashi's turn to be unfocused. His mind wanders while trying to study. In his distraction, he fumbles and drops his books. He apologizes for the commotion. As Hisashi gathers his things, he discovers a small note attached to one of his books from Rei, thanking him for the energy boost. They share a look, mutually encouraged to do their best. The final test begins. After practice, Rei Kuramiya's friends ask about her studies for the upcoming tests. Rei explains she's doing her best because she needs to get her mother's approval. A friend offers her support, telling Rei to let her know if there's anything she can do. Later, another friend, Akari, teases Rei with a grin, asking how things are going with that guy. She reveals to another girl that a boy is tutoring Rei, which would be a big deal if it got out. Rei confesses that she is also getting tutored by another friend and feels guilty for always receiving help. Akari tells Rei she has found a good friend and should do something in return. Rei mentions that Haruno-kun said it was fine. Akari wistfully remarks that if she were a boy, just being with Rei would be enough. Since she is not, she suggests Rei sing for him, reminding her that they are idols. Rei seems hesitant, recalling that she is not good at that kind of thing. Flustered, Rei admits that she has already sung for him. Her friend reacts with surprise. The scene transitions to the classroom, where the teacher instructs the students to take their seats for the exam. The teacher announces that the upcoming tests are crucial for university admissions and will determine their choice of faculty. The weight of the announcement settles on the students, and Hisashi Haruno in particular is struck with panic, realizing he absolutely cannot afford to fail. While other students admire Rei Kuramiya's calm and confident demeanor, Hisashi notices that her eyes lack their usual shine, sensing her nervousness. As he prepares to turn in his answer sheet, he tells a classmate he wants to go to university. However, he admits he still does not know what he wants to study. Rei reflects on the past month of hard work. While she has been studious since middle school, this was the first time she had worked alongside someone, supporting them, and she found the experience unexpectedly heavy and painful. Holding her results, she thinks of Haruno. Hisashi looks at his test score, a 96, in complete shock. He turns to look back at Rei. Rei smiles back at him, holding her own test which shows a score of 66. She realizes that, like the pain of working hard with someone, she had also never known the joy of being rewarded for it. Akari brings a pile of sweets to celebrate, congratulating both Rei and Hisashi for passing. Rei accepts some snacks, noting that her next live performance is coming up. The group cheers, having all scored above the cutoff. Rei bows deeply, sincerely thanking both Hisashi and Akari for their help. She tells them she could not have passed without them, and a flustered Hisashi asks if this means she can continue being an idol. Rei looks at her scores, confident that her mother will approve and knowing she must now maintain them. Hisashi comes to a somber realization. Now that they have passed, their supplementary lessons will come to an end. Rei then turns to him, asking what he hopes his own mother will say. Hisashi nervously shows his impressive scores, hoping he will not be scolded. He adds that the rest depends on his sister. Meanwhile, Akari reveals her near-perfect scores, prompting their friend to call her a natural-born genius. Akari just says she looks radiant. Akari grabs Rei's hand, suggesting they continue studying together. Rei happily agrees, since there will be no more supplementary lessons. This confirmation hits Hisashi hard, as he realizes his reason to be with Kuramiya is gone. Hisashi panics internally. Without the supplementary lessons, he has lost his excuse to talk to her and wonders if he can interact with her normally. As other students say goodbye to Rei, he struggles to find the right words. After a moment of hesitation, Hisashi manages to make small talk about the difficult class, and Rei agrees. He immediately berates himself, thinking a normal conversation is impossible. Just then, Rei turns back to him, explaining she wants to show her gratitude to both him and Akari. She slides a ticket for her premium live performance into his hand. Rei invites Hisashi to her live performance so he can see it. On a crowded train, Hisashi Haruno holds the ticket Rei Kuramiya gave him. He recalls her words, inviting him to her live performance as a way to express her gratitude. A fellow student overhears and remarks that this means they get to see a free live show. Hisashi arrives at Takashima Station, observing the large crowd. He wonders if everyone is headed to the same live performance. His eyes land on a poster for the idol group Blue Impulses. He's taken aback by the scale of the event. He nervously admits it's his first time even holding a pen light. Inside the venue, Akari asks if this is Hisashi's first live concert. She warns him that using the wrong color or hand movements would be embarrassing. She suggests they should review the setlist together. The lights dim and the concert begins. Hisashi and Akari watch from the audience as the idols take the stage. The spotlight shines on Rei Kuramiya as she strikes a pose, ready to perform. The energy in the venue is electric as the music starts and the performance gets underway. Rei and her group command the stage, captivating the audience with their powerful presence. The fans cheer wildly for the idol group Blue Impulse. A flashback reveals their reputation for amazing performances, combining impressive musicality, dance, and production. Despite their average age being under 18, their talent has won them fans all across Japan. All three members of the group are incredibly talented, holding the audience's full attention. But for Hisashi, watching from the crowd, Rei Kuramiya stands out among them all. As if sensing his gaze, she winks at the audience. Hisashi reflects on the Kuramiya he knew from their after-school supplementary classes less than 2 months ago. He remembers she was not good at studying and could be a bit absent-minded. But he also knew she had a strong core and was a person who always worked hard. Watching her on stage, he realizes that underneath the idol persona, she is just a normal girl too. As the crowd chants for an encore, Hisashi feels a vast distance between them, as if they live in different worlds. One of the idols announces their new song, for which they wrote the lyrics. Rei then steps up to the microphone to introduce the song, titled Racin' Derta. As Rei sings, the lyrics flash through Hisashi's mind. A simple thank you is not enough, and she is looking for a reason to be next to him. Akari is stunned by the lyrics. Hisashi is equally shocked by the personal nature of the song. After the show, Akari comments on how amazing it was. Akari points out that he didn't use his pen light, seeming to realize he did not understand the song's meaning. Hisashi apologizes, explaining he was completely overwhelmed. Lost in thought with his heart pounding, Hisashi cannot get the last song out of his head. Just then, a woman approaches and calls his name, asking if he is Hisashi Haruno. The woman introduces herself. She explains that Rei always appreciates his kindness. She is Kuramiya's manager and hands him a business card. She then asks if he has a moment to follow her. Akari nods, giving her approval. The manager agrees with a stern expression that rumbles with intensity. Hisashi's heart thumps in his chest, terrified by her scary face. Rei's manager